Hello crew, welcome once again to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about a very interesting topic, and it's about the great power-up that Sanji's about to receive. This upcoming boost in strength seems almost confirmed based on what we've seen. Sanji, for many, has been one of the most poorly treated characters by Oda after the time skip. Not only was he punished by spending 2 years with the Okama, but he was also nearly turned into one. In most of the arcs that followed, Sanji didn't have major rivals to face in a final arc battle. He briefly clashed with Virgo, who nearly broke his bones, and with Doffy, where he was almost humiliated, and that's about it. It wasn't until Wino that he once again gained prominence in important fights, defeating one of the calamities of the Beast Pirates. I think that's where he was finally treated as he deserved. After being ignored for so long, he received one of the biggest power-ups in a long time. His dormant Germa powers awakened, showing a brutal increase in strength. All very cool, but compared to his biggest rival among the Straw Hats, it wasn't much. Zoro never stopped having epic moments and power-ups. Despite already having received a very powerful new sword, Oda also made him a Conqueror's Haki user. And in that same arc, he developed the most advanced variant of Conqueror's Haki, the coating technique, that only the most powerful in history can use. For a large part of the fandom, it's an injustice that Zoro is the only Straw Hat besides their captain Luffy to possess Conqueror's Haki, especially because it's always been said that Sanji is Zoro's equal. Even in the Wano arc, it was emphasized that both of them are the wings of the future king of the pirates. They're no ordinary crewmates. So why does Zoro always end up getting the best power-ups? And when it seems like Sanji is finally on par with his rival, Zoro gets yet another power-up that's even better. It almost feels like Oda hates Sanji and favors Zoro as one of his favorites. But what if all of this has been planned in advance, revealing more than expected? In Roger's and Luffy's crews, there are many similarities among their 3 strongest members. Luffy, obviously, parallels Roger. Zoro and Rayleigh are considered the vice-captains of their crews throughout the One Piece world. Rayleigh, a user of all 3 types of Haki, makes it understandable why Zoro would also possess all 3, including Conqueror's Haki. It wasn't until Rayleigh appeared that the strong similarities between him and Zoro were fully apparent. On the other hand, we always knew about Scopa-Gaban's existence, but we didn't know much about him, his fighting techniques, what he was capable of in battle, or even which types of Haki he possessed. It was only in this Elbaf arc, with his appearance, that many things were finally revealed and confirmed. He was acknowledged as Roger's left hand, while Rayleigh had already been introduced as the right hand and vice-captain. Gaban then was essentially Rayleigh's equal, and it wasn't until the latest chapter of the manga, chapter 1148, that what I believe is Oda's best-kept secret was revealed, something that also connects back to Sanji, the ultimate technique in One Piece, Conqueror's Haki. Scopa-Gaban appears to be a user of this Haki. He may also be tied to the secret of defeating the immortals of the world government. When Gaban attacked Saint Somers, one of the Holy Knights, we saw that the knight could no longer regenerate. Gaban was surrounded by the distinctive black lightning associated with Conqueror's Haki. Given all the importance this type of Haki received at the end of Wano, being treated almost as the ultimate Haki, it should logically play a role in the weakness of the so-called immortals. I'll talk more about this in a future video, taking advantage of the break week. So, with the possible confirmation of Gaban as a Conqueror's Haki user, it's only a matter of time before Sanji awakens it as well, finally completing the symmetry between the 3 strongest members of Roger's and Luffy's crews. 2 legendary trios, each with the 3 types of Haki: the Pirate King with his right and left hands, the future King of the Pirates with his 2 wings. The great power Sanji would gain from Conqueror's Haki is beyond description. Physically, once he awakens his Germa powers, he is already superior to all his crewmates. If you add the most powerful type of Haki on top of that, Sanji would become unstoppable. Of course, this doesn't mean Sanji's Haki would be the same as Zoro's or Luffy's. The power of Haki depends entirely on the individual user. Even if they possess the same type, one can be stronger than the other. We've already seen clashes of Haki, where the one with better development wins, despite both using the same type. Now, one of the biggest questions is, when will be the right moment for Sanji to awaken his Conqueror's Haki? I believe there are 3 perfect scenarios for this. The first is that he awakens it during this very arc in Elbaf, taking advantage of Gaban's appearance. It would be fitting for Sanji to awaken his Conqueror's Haki during this incident. However, for this to happen, the situation would need to spiral out of control, so much that the monster trio in the underworld would have to get involved. More powerful Holy Knights should appear, not just rely on Gaban forcing the monster trio to intervene. And since Conqueror's Haki may be key to defeating the so-called immortals, Sanji might awaken it under extreme pressure. Loki could also lose control, pushing the monster trio to use their full strength. The key point is that things need to go very badly during the rest of the Elbaf arc, so that Sanji is forced to awaken his Haki in the same arc where his counterpart in Roger's crew appears. The second option is that he awakens it in the next arc, regardless of where the crew heads after Elbaf. they might get involved in another major incident, and there, Sanji ends up awakening his Conqueror's Haki. Since Luffy and Zoro are already users of Conqueror's Haki coating, it wouldn't be too difficult for Sanji to develop it as well. He might even use it unintentionally without realizing it. And the final option, and one I personally think is very fitting, is that Sanji awakens his Conqueror's Haki during the final war against the world government. In this scenario, he's forced to fight someone with extreme regeneration, perhaps a holy knight on Shamrock's level, or even one of the Gorosei. Sanji would use all of his techniques, but no matter how much damage he inflicts, his opponent keeps regenerating. It would push him to the brink, until he unconsciously awakens his Conqueror's Haki, and finally manages to injure his enemy, something similar to what happened with Zoro when he cut Kaido. Likewise, Zoro defeated King without fully understanding his new power. So what better moment than for Sanji to unlock his ultimate power-up against the final enemy he would face? Personally, I would really prefer that Sanji ends up fighting a Gorosei in the final war, since Zoro will most likely take on Nusturo. And considering how much they've been emphasizing that Zoro and Sanji are equals, it would be a huge disappointment if only one of them faced a Gorosei and the other didn't. Without a doubt, Conqueror's Haki is the final power-up Sanji needs to be considered someone who can stand toe-to-toe with anyone. And keep in mind, even now, there are very few characters who possess advanced Conqueror's Haki, mostly Yonko-level individuals. Zoro might be the weakest among them, and even though there are others who possess Conqueror's Haki like Doflamingo, Hancock, or Katakuri, it's highly likely they will never use Conqueror's Haki coating, and even if they do, it won't bring them anywhere near Yonko level. It would be like a regular armament Haki clash between Kaido and some random vice admiral. Even though it's the same type of Haki, one would be vastly more powerful than the other. In any case, Sanji fans should be very happy after the latest chapter, because the chances of their favorite Straw Hat gaining Conqueror's Haki have increased significantly. Let me know all your thoughts on this topic in the comments. Thanks so much to everyone who made it to this part of the video. If you have any suggestions for future videos or ideas for the channel, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to consider them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Goodbye.